Buffalo really took care of business in their home field. 35-10 was the final score. As we do with every single game, let's reveal the grades by looking at the top 5 players, starting with the Buffalo Bills because they won the game. Spencer Brown, their offensive tackle, was the highest graded player in this one with a 90.0 overall grade. Tight end Dawson Knox with an 84.7. Defensive tackle Daquan Jones an 83.4. Cornerback Christian Benford a 79.3. Safety Taylor Rapp a 77.9. And then Josh Allen, one more game towards an MVP campaign. We'll get into that in a second, an 80.7 overall grade. As for the losers in this one, the San Francisco 49ers, Dominic Pooney, their rookie guard, still having a fantastic season, even through the struggles, with an 89.3 overall grade. Edge rusher Evan Anderson, your boy, Dalton,
FAU legend.
FAU legend, 83.1 overall grade. Offensive guard Ben Barch with a 78.4. Wide receiver Jawan Jennings a 77.0. Linebacker Devondre Campbell a 75.2. And then quarterback Brock Purdy in this one really struggled in the elements. And the 49ers are kind of just going in the wrong direction. He had a 46.4 overall grade in this one. As we do, we'll start every segment talking about the stat that told the story. Dalton, what do we got?
All right, so when it's cold and it's snowing and it's all the elements and we're playing winter football, every coach wants to run the ball.
Of course.
And the Bills ran the living hell out of the ball last night.
They did.
35 carries, 223 yards, 3 touchdowns on the ground. Their best run blocking grade of the season, their second best rushing grade of the season. And something I want to get into here about Joe Brady. The Bills, ever since he became their offensive coordinator, they have put an extra offensive lineman on the field on 16.9% of their plays, all right? Only one other team in that spans, that's since I think week 11 of last year, is over 10%. Okay, this is what the Bills, this is a weapon, especially on early downs that they used last night. It was Alec Anderson, number 70. Last year, I think it was Spencer Brown a lot as the 6th guy. They put an extra offensive lineman out there instead of an extra tight end just to get a little more of that just meat and potatoes kind of thing on the field on their offensive line.
It is Thanksgiving overall. Meat and potatoes.
It's the right weekend for it. It's the duo schemes, right? The man duo schemes up front where they just run right downhill at you. The only team that runs more is the Rams, and they've completely reinvented their run game over the last 2 years. But this is something that is not going away. 15 of their 38 run plays last night, and really 15 out of 35 because it was 3 kneel downs, had an extra offensive lineman on the field. 8.1 yards per carry with a 6th offensive lineman out there, including James Cook's long touchdown in the first quarter. This is just, the Bills were prepared for this. And I think part of the magic of Joe Brady is being able to adjust this team week to week however he needs to, right? If they need to spread it out and beat man coverage with one-on-one matchups, cool. If they need to go screen heavy, cool. If they need to line up an extra O-lineman and 12 personnel or however you want to do it, the Bills have all the personnel to do this. They may not we've talked about it all year, they may not have Justin Jefferson or Tyreek Hill or that number 1 guy like that, but they have so many different threats and so many different avenues of success on offense. This is just another one. They can get in the snow. They've got a 240-pound quarterback. They've got 2, if not 3 good running backs. They got an extra lineman, and they get creative even if the run game is just a downhill kind of beat you up sort of run game, right? There's still a creative thing about it. And of course, they're leading the league this year in percentage of plays with an extra offensive lineman. Second behind them is the Denver Broncos, Sean Payton, right? Where was Joe Brady back in 2017, 2018? The New Orleans Saints with Sean Payton.
Sure.
And they ran a top 5 rate of having an extra offensive lineman out there. Clearly, it's something he's taken from Sean Payton. Now, he didn't use it when he was running the passing game at LSU because they had all his weapons. I'm not putting linemen out there over Jefferson and Chase, right? When you have that weaponry. But this is something that he's always had in his back pocket. And with this team and as balanced as they are, they can use that. They lined up 6 offensive linemen on the field against San Francisco last night, and they just mauled them on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, they are my most impressive. For a lot of the reasons that you mentioned, they're getting creative and they're using their guys in the right way. It's not just the overall output that they have either. It's also just the efficiency of it. Very high EPA per rush averages. So, when you talk about, when we bring up EPA per rush, it's a little bit better contextually than just like talking about certain yards because, EPA is like, all right, well, if you have a 3rd and 2, for example, 3rd and 2 situation. Well, if you rush for 4 yards, well, it's only 4 yards, right? But you are getting closer to adding points on the scoreboard. You are doing your job. You are converting there. So those are an important 4 yards. It's not just 4 random rushing yards that get you a lot closer to the goal. So the statistic of expected points added per play or per rush in this regard is a better way to judge, okay, how efficient are you on the ground? Positive EPA per rush at any point in time, because it is more difficult to get a positive EPA output when you are rushing than it is passing, just because passing, it's got a higher ceiling, you score more points naturally. The Buffalo Bills last night, 0.204 expected points average per rush. I mean, that is just a fantastic number. And they've got the diversity in the run game too. James Cook, 7.6 yards per carry average. Obviously, the 65-yard run helps there. But Ray Davis, 5.7 yards per carry average. Ty Johnson, 5.6. Josh Allen himself, 6.0. So they have so many different ways that they can attack you on the ground. And that's what I love the most about this Buffalo Bills team and why they feel like the most dangerous, one of the most dangerous teams in the NFL. I shouldn't say the most, because there's a couple of others that are right there in that tier 1. But Buffalo is in that tier 1 because they can beat you on offense in so many different ways. Not only do they have a MVP frontrunner, in my opinion, playing the quarterback position, who is a dual threat guy in and of himself, the running backs are diverse. The offensive line's kicking ass. The wide receivers, or I should just say receivers in general, there's so many different types of players that can beat you every single week, especially with Amari Cooper now out there. I said this 2 weeks ago. I am even more confident saying it now. This is one of the most balanced offensive attacks in the NFL. I think the only one that is more balanced is probably Detroit, right? I mean, it's just Buffalo and Detroit right now. They feel like they're on a collision course to the Super Bowl. I would love to see that matchup if these guys are playing well, and we're at least going to see one more home game in Buffalo, because with this win last night, they locked up the division title already with, oh my goodness, what do we have left? 5 games to go.
First team since 2009 to do that.
I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous. So the Chiefs, they clinched a playoff spot with their win this past week against the Raiders, but the Bills clinched the division and another home game. My stat that told the story real quick, 49ers turnovers. I mean, this is a team that is not playing very well right now. We know that. The vibes don't feel great. They're going through a lot of injuries, obviously missing a lot of stars in this game as well as over the last couple of weeks. But 3 fumbles lost. Anytime that's going to be the case, it's going to be really hard to beat a team like Buffalo, especially in Buffalo, with the conditions the way that they were and all the injuries that you got. So the only real chance that the Niners had in this game, if they were going to play a clean football game and win the turnover battle, they absolutely did not, and I think the scoreboard reflected.
Yeah, no, the Bills right now, look, the Chiefs have the best record. The Chiefs are the 2-time defending champs, but the Bills are playing the best football in the AFC. I think that's what needs to be said. And if they do get the 1 seed and we get more of these conditions through all their home games in January, and they've obviously been through so much pain in the last, 4 years of postseason runs, but I think now this Bills team, you can see Josh Allen feels like the leader of this team, of a team that really, like you mentioned, has so many weapons. I think the only thing that still concerns me, even coming out of this game, is their run defense, say, in a potential matchup against the Ravens. And the Chiefs with their interior front and Pacheco healthy can run it too, but they're getting Matt Milano back, or they just got him back last night. He got his feet wet, seriously, in the snow. But no, I think that's a huge piece, because that was really the biggest concern for me, was their linebackers, right? And look, Terrell Bernard and Dorian Williams did a good enough job, obviously. They're 10-2, right? But I think with Milano back as really one of the leaders of their defense, if he can get healthy and really get into a rhythm here on that side, you're talking about a serious Super Bowl threat with the Bills.
My most disappointing, the Christian McCaffrey injury sucks. I mean, it's just injuries overall for the San Francisco 49ers. This is not the same team that we projected to make the playoffs once again at the beginning of the season. They've gone through a lot of injuries. They've struggled even when their stars have been out there. Even earlier on in the season, they were pretty poor in run defense, even when a lot of those guys were out there. So it's not like, wow, they were world beaters before the injuries. They were struggling even before the injuries. But you talk about the guys that weren't in this one, Nick Bosa, Trent Williams, guys that are playing hurt. Fred Warner, he's been playing hurt this season. A lot of guys have been playing hurt. Brock Purdy has missed time. Obviously, Brandon Ayuk is out for the year. There's a lot of guys that are really going through a lot of injuries and that mean a lot to this team. Christian McCaffrey missed so much time at the beginning of the year with that Achilles injury. And now it looks like he's going to miss the rest of the season with a PCL injury. And so it just sucks. I mean, it's one of the best offensive players in the NFL. He's so much fun to watch. To me, what's most disappointing is what maybe could have been with this 49ers team and all the injuries that they're having to go through, specifically now with McCaffrey likely done for the year.
Agree with you there with the Niners as most disappointing. And I think you're looking at now, you're pretty close. If you haven't stuck a fork in them already, you're pretty close to doing it. They would have to win their last 5 games, and it's some combination of Lions, Bears, Dolphins, Rams, and Cardinals. that's hard to see him going 5-0 in that stretch. And 2 games back of the division lead, 2.5 out of a wild card. It looks like the Niners, barring a miracle, are just about done. And real quick, just most impressive for me, Dawson Knox at tight end. Dalton Kincaid was out last night, and Knox has been relegated over the last year to that number 2 role, kind of the blocking tight end role. 2 big catches in the passing game. Run blocking was really good, 82.2 run blocking grade. He was, again, part of that. If you have a 6 offensive lineman out there and you have Dawson Knox out there, it's almost like having 7. So he's definitely still a useful player, despite Kincaid becoming more of the receiving threat. And obviously he's a versatile receiving threat, but Knox still has a role on this team, and he played really well last night.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe the video. And if you don't have a PFF Plus subscription, you can get one to see all the premium stats that we talked about here on the show, plus the expert betting and fantasy advice over at subscribe.pff.com. The description is also right below, so if you are not a PFF Plus subscriber, you can become one today.